Keanu Reeves sat alone in the far corner of a small family restaurant. The walls were painted warm yellow, but it did not feel warm to him. He stared at the steam rising from his black coffee, tracing shapes in it like he was searching for answers. It was just past noon, but the place was almost empty. A soft rain fell outside the window, tapping the glass like a gentle reminder that the world keeps moving, even when your heart stands still. Keanu had finished filming his last movie a week ago. People thought he would be surrounded by friends, by laughter, by fancy parties. But here he was in an old hoodie and jeans, no bodyguards, no entourage. He came here because nobody would expect to see him in a place like this. He liked the silence, even though it hurt. Sometimes silence is louder than noise. He picked at his sandwich but did not eat. He remembered his mother used to tell him to eat properly, that the body needed strength even when the heart was tired. He closed his eyes and saw her smile, heard her laugh in the tiny kitchen where he grew up. The memories came and went like shadows. He wondered if anyone really knew him, or if they just knew the stories, the movies, the internet photos. He wondered if he would ever feel less alone. Suddenly, the door opened with a loud creak. 2 young kids stepped inside. They could not be more than 13 or 14. They were old, mismatched clothes. Their hair was wet from the rain, sticking to their foreheads. One of them held a paper bag tight to his chest. The waitress behind the counter looked at them with suspicion, her eyes narrow. The taller twin spoke up, his voice shy but clear. "Mum, can we sit here for a bit? We won't bother anyone. We just want to be warm." The waitress hesitated. She had seen these kids before. They never caused trouble, but they also never ordered much. Keanu watched from his corner. He noticed the twins were thin, their cheeks hollow. He felt a pinch in his chest, like an old wound that never healed. "You boys got any money?" the waitress asked. The shorter twin dug into his pocket and pulled out a few coins. He opened his palm, showing it to her with wide, hopeful eyes. "Just this. Can we buy a cup of tea? We'll share." The waitress sighed. She was about to say something when Keanu stood up, his chair scraping the floor. He walked over, slow, careful not to startle them. The boys turned to him, eyes big, recognizing him instantly. Even in this small town, they knew his face. But they did not scream or ask for autographs. Instead, they looked embarrassed, as if they were ashamed to be seen like this by someone so famous. Keanu knelt down to their level. He spoke in a soft voice that only they could hear. "Are you hungry?" The taller twin nodded. The paper bag he was holding was wet at the bottom, almost tearing. Keanu pointed to it gently. "What's in the bag?" The boy hesitated, then showed him. Inside were 2 stale bread rolls, half squished but carefully wrapped in an old napkin. Keanu's heart twisted. He looked back at the waitress. "Can they sit with me? I'd like to buy them lunch." The boys gasped. The waitress looked surprised too, but shrugged. "Suit yourself, Mr. Reeves." Keanu smiled at the twins and led them to his table. He took off his hoodie and wrapped it around the smaller twin's shoulders. They sat down together. A strange picture, Hollywood's lonely star, and 2 rain-soaked kids who had nothing but each other. "Why were you standing outside?" Keanu asked as he signaled the waitress to bring menus. The taller twin spoke carefully. "We were looking through the window. You looked sad. We thought maybe you'd want company." Keanu felt his eyes sting. He cleared his throat, trying to smile through the lump in his chest. "You know what? I think I do." The waitress brought them hot soup, fresh bread, and milk. The boys ate fast at first, then slower, savoring every bite. Keanu watched them, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He asked them their names, Adam and Alex. They told him they were twins, living with their uncle who was sick most days. They tried to work odd jobs, washing cars, carrying groceries. Sometimes they found enough for food. Sometimes they did in single quotes. Keanu listened, really listened. He didn't interrupt, didn't judge. He told them about his own life, about how he knew what it was like to lose people, to feel alone. The twins looked at him with wide eyes, surprised that a man like him would understand their pain. Outside, the rain kept falling, but inside that small restaurant, something changed. The coldness that surrounded Keanu's heart began to melt. He felt the weight of loneliness lift, even if just a little. He realized he was not saving these boys. They were saving him too, when the plates were empty. Adam leaned forward, a shy grin on his face. "Mr. Reeves, do you want to join us for lunch again tomorrow?" Keanu laughed, a real laugh that startled even him. It felt good. He nodded. Double quotes, "Yeah, I'd love that." In that moment, in a tiny corner booth of an old restaurant, three souls who were broken, in different ways, found a small piece of hope. And for the first time in a long time, Keanu Reeves did not feel alone. The next day, the rain had stopped, but the air still felt heavy with yesterday's sadness. Keanu woke up early. He did not sleep much. His mind kept replaying the twins' shy smiles, the way they ate like they hadn't seen warm food in days, the way they looked at him, not as a movie star, but as someone who could understand them, someone who might care. He pulled on a plain shirt and jeans, grabbed his old hoodie from the back of the chair. It still smelled faintly of the little boy who had wrapped himself inside it. That scent reminded Keanu of when he was young and his mother held him close on cold nights. When they had no money for heat. Keanu took a cab back to the small family restaurant. It was the same empty tables, but today he did not want to sit alone. He looked around, hoping Adam and Alex would show up. He ordered 3 plates of breakfast, just in case. He sat there, tapping his fingers on the table, a rare hint of nervousness on his face. Minutes felt like hours until he finally saw them. The twins came running down the street, their thin jackets flapping behind them. They stopped at the door, catching their breath, cheeks red from the chill, when they spotted him. They lit up like 2 tiny candles in the dark. "We didn't think you'd really come back," Alex said shyly as they slid into the booth across from him. Keanu smiled, his eyes soft. "I told you I would, didn't I?" Adam pulled out something from his pocket, a small, crumpled flower. It was half wilted, but still bright yellow. He handed it to Keanu with trembling fingers. "We found this for you, to say thank you." Keanu took the flower carefully, like it was made of glass. He placed it on the table between them. "It's beautiful. Thank you, boys." The food came, scrambled eggs, toast, fresh juice. The twins attacked the plates at first, then slowed down when Keanu gently reminded them, "You don't have to rush, we have time." While they ate, they talked about school, or rather, how they hardly went. Adam said he missed it sometimes, that he liked reading. Alex nodded but confessed he liked drawing better. He doodled superheroes on scraps of paper when they found old pencils. Keanu listened, nodding, his heart aching at how simple their dreams were, to have enough paper, enough pencils, enough food. He asked about their uncle. They lowered their eyes. Alex said their uncle used to work at a factory until he hurt his back. Now he mostly stayed in bed, coughing. Sometimes neighbors brought soup. Other times, the boys just managed alone. They said it like it was normal, like this was how life was supposed to be. Keanu felt anger burn in his chest, but he swallowed it. Anger would not feed them. Kindness would. When they finished eating, Keanu paid the bill and they stepped outside together. The twins did not want to leave him. They stood on the sidewalk, fidgeting. Adam finally spoke up. "Do you have somewhere to go?" Keanu shrugged, looking at the sky. "Not really." Alex looked at his brother, then back at Keanu. "Wanna come see where we stay?" Keanu hesitated. It wasn't about safety. He knew they wouldn't hurt him. It was about his heart, his fear of seeing something that would break him open even more. But he nodded. Double quotes, "Yeah. Show me." They walked through narrow streets, past old buildings with peeling paint. The neighborhood smelled of damp concrete and rusted metal. Stray cats darted under cars. The twins led him to a crumbling house with broken steps. Inside, it smelled of old wood, medicine, and stale air. The twins guided him to a small back room where their uncle lay on a thin mattress. The man coughed when he saw Keanu, his eyes wide with disbelief. He tried to sit up but winced. "Uncle Joe, this is Mr. Keanu," Adam said proudly. "He had lunch with us yesterday." Uncle Joe struggled to speak. "Sir, you shouldn't be here. You're famous." Keanu sat on the floor beside the mattress, ignoring the dirt that clung to his jeans. "We're all just people," he said gently. "No need for sir." He looked around the room. A few cracked photos hung on the wall, a wedding picture, a baby photo of the twins. There was an empty soup can on the nightstand, a glass of water half drunk. Keanu realized they had nothing. He felt his throat tighten again. He spoke with Uncle Joe for a while, asking about his pain, his work, what he needed. The man tried to brush it off, but the truth was clear. They had no money for doctors, no way to fix the leaking roof, no idea if tomorrow's meal would come. When Keanu stood to leave, the twins followed him outside. They were quiet until Adam whispered, "You don't have to come back. We know you're busy." Keanu crouched down, placing a hand on each boy's shoulder. "I will come back. We're friends now, right?" The twins nodded, and for the first time since they met, they hugged him tight, like they were afraid he might disappear if they let go. As Keanu walked away, the yellow flower still in his pocket, he felt the first drops of rain return. But this time, the cold did not feel so empty. He had found something real, a promise that he would not let go. Keanu could not stop thinking about the twins after he left their crumbling house. That night, he sat by his apartment window, staring at the city lights that stretched far beyond him. The world seemed so big, but somehow it felt small now. Small enough for two hungry boys and a sick uncle to become his whole world. He called a friend who worked quietly with charities. He asked how he could help families like Adam and Alex's, without making it feel like charity, without taking away their dignity. His friend said, "Sometimes it's not about big donations. It's about being there, one small act at a time." The next morning, Keanu packed a bag with groceries, bread, milk, soup cans, some fruit. He slipped in a box of colored pencils and a sketch pad for Alex, remembering how his eyes lit up when he spoke about drawing. Then he grabbed a few books for Adam, simple ones with stories about heroes and adventures. He made his way back to the old house. This time, he knocked lightly. Adam opened the door, his eyes growing wide when he saw the bags. Alex peeked from behind him, his mouth falling open at the sight of the sketch pad sticking out. "What's all this?" Adam asked, voice small. "Just some things to help," Keanu said softly, "and a few surprises inside." Uncle Joe tried to sit up again when he saw him. "Mr. Reeves, you don't have to." Keanu stopped him with a gentle shake of his head. "Call me Keanu, and I do have to, because I want to." Alex tore open the sketch pad, flipping through the clean white pages with a grin so bright that it made the room seem warmer. He held the colored pencils like they were gold. "Can I draw you?" Alex asked suddenly. Keanu laughed. "Sure, but only if you make me look handsome." Adam giggled at that. Then he sat down with one of the books, tracing the cover with his finger like it was the greatest treasure he'd ever seen. While the boys settled in, Keanu sat by Uncle Joe again. He asked him what he needed most. Joe's voice was raspy when he answered, "I just want to know the boys are safe. I worry about what happens when I'm gone." Keanu felt that old ache in his chest again. He knew what it was like to lose family. He knew the fear that came with knowing someone you loved might not have anyone left. "They're not alone anymore," Keanu said. "I promise." He meant it. He would find a way to help them, not just with food, but with real hope. He asked Joe if they could take the boys out for a bit. Joe smiled, coughing. They'd love that. Keanu took the twins to a nearby park. It was small, with patches of green and a broken swing that squeaked when the wind blew. The boys ran ahead, laughing. Adam read his book on a bench, mumbling words out loud to practice. Alex sat on the grass, sketching trees, clouds, and a little stick figure that looked suspiciously like Keanu. After a while, they sat together under a big tree. Keanu watched them, feeling something shift inside him, something old and heavy loosening its grip. "Why do you help us?" Adam asked suddenly. His eyes were wide, searching Keanu's face for a secret reason. Keanu thought for a moment. "Because when I was your age, people helped me too. People who didn't have to. They made me feel like I mattered. You to matter." Alex looked up from his drawing. "Do you feel lonely, Keanu?" Keanu's throat tightened. He wanted to lie, but he couldn't. "Sometimes, yeah." Adam reached out, his small hand closing around Keanu's bigger one. "You don't have to be. You got us now. That simple promise, spoken by a boy who barely had enough for himself, felt like the most precious gift Keanu had ever received. As the sun dipped behind the buildings, Keanu stood up. "Come on, I have an idea." He took them to a small diner nearby, one that was brighter than the old restaurant. He let them pick anything they wanted: burgers, fries, milkshakes. The twins ate like they were storing sunshine for the cold nights ahead. The waitress smiled at them, seeing their joy. She whispered to Keanu when the boys weren't listening, "Are they yours?" Keanu looked at her, his eyes warm. "They are now." When they were done, he walked them back to the crumbling house. Adam clutched his book tight to his chest. Alex carried the sketch pad like a shield against the world. As they reached the door, Alex looked up at Keanu, his voice soft. "Can we really see you again tomorrow?" Keanu knelt, looking each of them in the eyes. "Yes, tomorrow, and the day after that. I'm not going anywhere." In that moment, the streetlight above them flickered on, casting a small circle of light around them. It was enough to chase away the dark, just for a while. As Keanu walked away, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, the quiet warmth of belonging. For the first time, he knew that maybe he wasn't just saving them. Maybe they were saving him too. Days turned into weeks, and every morning Keanu found himself waking up with purpose. He was no longer drifting from one empty room to another. Now, he spent his mornings shopping for groceries, picking up little things he thought Adam and Alex would like: warm socks, peanut butter, a packet of crayons, a comic book he used to love as a boy. He never showed up empty-handed, but more than that, he never showed up empty-hearted. Sometimes he brought his guitar too. He would sit cross-legged on the floor of their tiny room while the twins listened with wide eyes. They'd clap when he finished, begging him to teach them a song. Keanu's laughter filled the cracks in the old walls, making the house feel less broken. But even with these bright moments, shadows still lingered. Uncle Joe's cough grew worse. The twins did their best to hide their worry, but Keanu could see the fear behind their smiles. He called doctors, paid for medicine, but deep down he knew they were running out of time. That one night, Keanu arrived late. He found the twins sitting outside on the front steps, hugging their knees. They looked up when they heard his footsteps, eyes swollen from crying. "It's Uncle Joe," Adam whispered. "He's not waking up much." Keanu knelt down, pulling them close. They pressed their small bodies against his, shaking like leaves. He felt the old ache in his heart, that cruel reminder that sometimes no matter how much you care, you can't stop people from leaving. Inside, Uncle Joe lay curled up on the thin mattress. His breathing was shallow, each breath sounding like it hurt. He opened his eyes when Keanu sat beside him. They were dull but kind. "You're here," Uncle Joe rasped. "Always," Keanu said softly. "The boys are outside. They're scared." Joe's eyes filled with tears. "Don't let them end up like me." Keanu swallowed the lump in his throat. "They won't, I promise you that." Joe reached out, his thin hand gripping Keanu's. "You're a good man. You were sent here for them." "No," Keanu whispered, squeezing his hand. "They were sent here for me." The old man managed a weak smile, then drifted into sleep again. Keanu sat there for hours, keeping watch, feeling a strange mix of sorrow and gratitude. The boys eventually fell asleep, curled up on either side of him, their small hands resting on his knees as if they knew he would keep them safe. The next morning, Uncle Joe was gone. The house felt heavy with silence. Keanu took care of the things that needed to be done. He called the few neighbors who still cared, arranged for a simple farewell. He stood with the twins under a gray sky as they said goodbye to the only family they had known. They held his hands so tight that his fingers turned numb. But he didn't pull away. After the burial, they returned to the small house. The twins sat on the floor, shoulders hunched, their eyes empty. Keanu sat with them, trying to find the right words, but there were none. Sometimes words were not enough. "Are they gonna take us away?" Alex asked suddenly, his voice small and afraid. "We heard people talking. They said the city might come." Keanu felt a cold shiver run through him. He knew how the system worked. Kids like Adam and Alex could be taken to shelters or foster homes. Sometimes those places were good, but sometimes they were not. He could not bear the thought of them being split up, or worse, ending up in a place where no one cared. He looked at them, his voice steady. "Nobody's taking you anywhere. Not without me." Adam sniffed. "What if they say you're not family?" Keanu smiled, brushing a tear from Adam's cheek. "Then I'll make it so I am. I promise you. I won't let anyone break us apart." That night, Keanu sat awake in his own apartment, staring at legal papers spread across his table. He had called his lawyer, asked question after question. "How can I do this right? What do I need to prove? What do I sign?" The lawyer reminded him that the world would look at him differently now, that adopting to homeless boys might make headlines. But Keanu didn't care. His mind was clear for the first time in years. He pulled out his phone and found the picture Alex had drawn of the three of them. Stick figures under a bright sun, all holding hands. Under it, Alex had written, "Us forever." Keanu looked at that drawing until sleep finally claimed him. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. There would be rules, paperwork, questions about his past. But for once, he did not feel alone. He had two reasons to fight, to small souls who trusted him to keep his word. And he would. Because they were no longer just two homeless boys, they were his family. The weeks after Uncle Joe's funeral felt like a storm that never quite settled. Keanu found himself in rooms he had never imagined, sitting across from social workers, signing forms with trembling hands, answering endless questions from people who looked at him with curiosity and doubt. "Why do you want to do this, Mr. Reeves?" one woman asked, peering at him over her glasses. "You're a movie star. You could be anywhere in the world." Keanu looked at her calmly. "Because nowhere in the world feels right without them." Sometimes, the twins came with him to these meetings. They sat beside him, their small hands wrapped around his. When people asked them if they wanted to live with him, they nodded so hard it looked like their heads might fall off. Adam always said the same thing: "He's our family," and Alex would add, "We chose him." The papers took time, everything did. There were nights when Keanu felt the old loneliness creeping back in, whispering doubts in his ear. What if you're not good enough? What if they take them away? But every morning, when he showed up at their tiny house, two sleepy boys would run into his arms, chasing away the shadows. He found them a better place, a small apartment not too far from his own. It was simple but warm, with two beds side by side and a big window that let the sun pour in. They painted the walls together, covering old stains with fresh colors. Alex drew superheroes on scraps of paper and taped them everywhere. Adam lined up his new books on a little shelf Keanu built with his own hands. One evening, after a long day of meetings and waiting, Keanu surprised them with something special. He took them to a small family diner, not the old restaurant where they had met, but one brighter, full of laughter and warm light. They sat in a corner booth, just like that first day. The waitress brought them plates piled high with food. The boys ate slowly now, savoring every bite, no longer afraid it would be their last good meal for a while. "Do you remember the first time we sat like this?" Keanu asked, smiling at them. Adam giggled. "Yeah, you looked so sad." Alex grinned, showing the gap where his baby tooth had fallen out. "And now you look happy." Keanu reached across the table, taking their hands in his. "That's because I am." After dinner, they walked home together, their footsteps echoing on the quiet street. The twins took turns telling him jokes they had made up. Most didn't make sense, but they made him laugh so hard he had to wipe tears from his eyes. When they reached their new apartment, Adam suddenly stopped on the steps. He turned to Keanu, his face serious in the glow of the porch light. "Do you think Uncle Joe can see us?" Keanu knelt down so he was eye level with them. "Yeah, I think he sees you every day, and I think he's really proud of you." Alex leaned into his side. "And you too." Keanu felt his throat tighten, but this time, the tears that came were warm, not heavy. "Yeah, I hope so." Inside, the boys curled up in their beds. Keanu sat in the armchair by the window, keeping watch, the way he had so many nights before. He listened to their breathing, the soft rustle of blankets, the small sighs they made when they dreamed. He thought about how lonely his life had been before the rain-soaked kids stepped into that old restaurant. He thought about how they gave him more than he could ever give back. A chance to love, to protect, to be something more than just a face on a movie screen. Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. For the first time in a long time, Keanu did not feel the emptiness pressing at his chest. Instead, he felt a quiet warmth that grew stronger every time Adam or Alex whispered goodnight, or hugged him tight around the waist. In the morning, there would be new challenges, school forms to fill out, meals to make, fears to calm. But he did not dread them, he welcomed them. Every question, every signature, every small problem felt like proof that this life was real. Keanu looked over at the small drawing taped to the wall, the one Alex had made of the three of them holding hands under the sun, in childish letters. It still read, "Us forever," and for the first time, Keanu believed it. He stood up quietly, kissed each boy's forehead, and whispered a promise he knew he would keep for the rest of his life. "I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." In that simple room, with paint still fresh on the walls and the scent of hope filling the air, a man who once sat alone with a cold cup of coffee found his family. And in the gentle hush of the night, three souls who once had nothing discovered they had everything they needed: each other.